Hi, everyone, and welcome to OneMicNite, the podcast that brings you stories of artists and people on their journey, helping to guide, answer questions, and motivate you in life and the business. You already know who I am. It's Marcos Luis, and I'm back again. And thank you all for being along with me on this journey. Coming up on 18 years, so we've been doing a little something, helping to promote artists and giving a platform for independent artists for years. So thank you for being along with me on this journey. My guest today, and I'm extremely excited because whenever I talk to filmmakers and actors, I'm always in the zone. So he is one of, not only a personal friend, but one of the best actors that I think I know. Please welcome Reginald L. Barnes to the show. What's up, Reginald?
Hey, what's up?
Oh, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you didn't even know that about me, thinking that about you. But
I did not know that about you, thinking that about me, and I'm pretty happy about it. I was like, wow, thank you. Thank you.
Listen, I have questions.
Yes, I got answers, I hope.
Word.
How you doing?
The first question is, who is Reginald L. Barnes?
Oh man, who is Reginald L. Barnes? It's a very interesting question at a very interesting time. I think I'm trying to put the parameters on that. Gosh, and it's interesting because you think that's a basic question that can be answered with ease, and as we all go through this journey, this like life journey, that answer might change, you know,
Yes.
and that answer kind of changes sometimes. But who I am now, I'm a man from Omaha, Nebraska, who is just trying to make, I hate to say it because it sounds so cheesy, but make an indelible mark on the world with choices that edify the people. Yeah, I just kind of want to. Right now, it's just I'm just a simple guy that likes to do things my way and change the energy in the room, and hopefully for a positive. You know what I mean?
I like
So
that.
that's kind of, I'm trying to stay in that wave.
For sure.
And a crazy answer, but we'll go
absolutely
back.
Not crazy answer. It's
Oh,
absolutely
okay.
right on point.
Okay.
It's whatever you think you are at this moment and what you're trying to do. But I want to talk about that, but I want to back it up just a little bit.
Okay.
So you said you're from Omaha?
Originally, yep.
Yeah. What was that like growing up for you?
It was white. No, it was it was a little white. No, Omaha, actually it wasn't, we don't realize color or none of that. We're just growing up. We're just being our, human selves. It was interesting for me. It was foundational. So where I can't really base and compare it to anything else because that's what I knew. My family, my mother and father, or my mother at least, her family had Southern roots, and my father's family was more Midwest and a little bit of the South as well, but more Midwest there. But growing up in Omaha, pretty diverse, but just was different. At least we had a house, in New York. We eventually had a house. We had an apartment and we had a house. But living in New York City, you lose sight of we're all in apartments. We're all kind of up on top of each other. We really can't avoid each other. In the Midwest, in the South, you can actually sort of you don't have to see your neighbor every day.
Yeah.
You don't have to, and you're driving everywhere. So you choose to be around those people. So it was just different. It was slower. It allowed you to try to develop actual friendships. It was different. It was cold. It was the Midwest, Omaha, Nebraska in the winter is cold. I literally just came back from, I'm sure, well, we'll probably get to, I just buried my mother last month. And yes, my mother just passed January 5th, and I just got back from Nebraska. And the day that we buried her on Martin Luther King's birthday, January 15th. It was negative 11 degrees with a wind chill of negative 37.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Right.
Wow.
Yes. So imagine having to actually put a casket in the ground. Like they have to heat up the ground and keep it heated in order to open. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Wow.
So it's a big question when you say what was that like, but the scope of it is it was culturally it was diverse. It was a little whiter and a little more white bread and easy, and but then physically we had 4 actual specific seasons where some people are just hot and hotter, or cold and colder. We were cold as shit. Nice little spring, hot as shit. Then, I know it's Sunday, but I cuss a lot. And then the fall. So, yeah, so just a little different, but just like anybody else.
What was school like for you? Were you in the arts?
Public school. Public school, I went to public school, and then in the 8th grade, I went to 3 different schools, moving around. We moved to Chicago, came back. I was in a regular public school for all of my growing up, but tying it into, it was mentioned, you were mentioning, like, did I act, or were you saying was
yeah?
it
Were
like
you in the arts at all?
Like an art school? Okay. Well, yeah. So, but I played violin from the 3rd grade until the 6th grade.
Violin, okay.
Yeah. We moved from Omaha to Chicago when I was in the Chicago area when I was in the 6th grade, and we stayed there until on and off till I graduated high school, and then I came back to Nebraska. But in that moment, there was violin for 3 years, and then I was in the choir probably since I've always liked to sing and like to, and then I wanted to do saxophone, but it ended up being violin. We didn't have a lot of money. Either that or my parents were just cheap, but we couldn't. You took violin class, but you didn't. I didn't actually purchase a violin. I rented one, rented a violin, and I was the only black boy in that class, and it was, about 10 to 12 of us, and my violin case was all tattered up, and I would walk back and forth with it and I would practice at home. And my mother hated when I would practice because I sounded horrible.
That's interesting. I just had a guest on who's a hip hop violinist, and she studied classical.
Okay.
And we talked a little bit about
Mira Ben Ari.
No, that's one of her. That's one of her. The people that she wants to collab with.
Okay.
Her name is Kiki Woods. She's here in the New York area. But
Okay.
I asked her, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. How did you feel as a person of color playing the violin? Was it classical? Was it jazz? Was it?
Well, the thing is, it was while I was younger, right? So this is, again, I'm 8 until about 11. I really loved it though. There's a tie-in with that, but how did I feel about it? I never got great at it, but what we would play, we would play the theme to The Young and the Restless. We would play Ode to Joy. We would play like real, like actual classical, you would try to, at least. I wasn't the best at reading music, but how did it feel looking at it from the perspective of, I was cognizant of the fact that it was just me in that class as far as like black men energy, right?
Yeah.
And I just remember this girl named Chelsea, and then a couple of white people. I'm sorry, it's early in the morning for me. I get up at 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. Kidding. So I can look back at it now, but in the time, I was just glad, to be honest with you. I was really just glad to be doing something different. Like I wanted to try something, and my parents never got in my way. They never got in the way. So they were just like, "Oh, you want to try violin? Okay, great." Violin was all, and when we moved to Chicago, to the suburban Chicago area in the 6th grade, I would have probably continued and probably been better at violin and stayed with it, but they didn't offer it at my school there.
Interesting.
And yeah, I went from a public school in elementary that was in the black section of town. North Omaha is predominantly black, but it was a very mixed elementary, and then went to a very lily white junior high that didn't even offer violin. And then they kind of laughed at me when I went to go ask them about it. It was weird.
They didn't offer violin. That's interesting. It seems
Yeah,
like they
didn't
would offer.
You would think that.
That's
You would
interesting.
think that. So
Wow.
yeah, that was kind of my journey with that. So I didn't get to get really good at it, but I miss it and I love it, and I really like the strings.
You ever think about picking one up again?
I have. I have thought about that. I have thought about it. Like, have thought about wondering about, as a like going back and maybe like perfecting it, or just I would love to. I remember the bow, the resin, and how we would have to chalk up the strings every day. And it's just as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm really going back to it. I really was into it, but I never really devoted myself to it because I just didn't have the opportunity later on.
So you mentioned your parents sort of didn't get in your way, but did they encourage you to do the arts? Or was it something that you just kind of went on and did yourself?
It was more so, I would say it was more me, but I was always I was always trying to sit at the big point, the adults table when I was a kid, right? Like I was the kid that wanted to. I didn't want to be around other kids. I wanted to be around the adults. I want to learn something. I want to this is that and the other, or I want to. Apparently, I ended up. I always had a knack for telling the story. So as a youth, I would get introduced, or I would introduce myself. Even when my aunt tells me to this day that my uncle, excuse me, her husband would say to me to this day that when I introduced myself to him at like 3, I said, "Hi, my name is Reginald Leon Barnes." Like I did this whole like spiel. So I think I was built and born for like a monologue, like to just to that's kind of where that was birthed, if you will. It was something about sort of captivating them, even from a child,
Hmm.
or just like watching somebody listen to you and really being like listening and paying attention to you as soon as you open your mouth.
Right.
That is
You
something
realizing that, yeah.
I remember that feeling when I was a kid, and so it kind of made me. I wasn't necessarily bad in school, but I was kind of like court gesture. I thought I was funny. The teacher would sit me in the front of the class. Of course, my last name was Barnes, and we would go alphabetical. I would always be close to the front, but it would always be also close to her, just in case. Like I'm always talking, saying some stupid shit or stuff. Can I cuss on this thing?
Yeah,
We
go
can
ahead.
talk about. It's too late now. After about 7 cusses, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But I forgot what the actual question was. I hope I didn't stray from it too far.
Not at all. Are
But
there teachers that that you sort of remember that kind of pushed you along and said or
oh, okay.
encouraged you and said, yeah, you
Oh,
probably got
wow.
some talent in
Interesting. Mrs. Brooks was my sixth grade teacher. She was a black woman. Most of my they were mostly white, but she and I were cool. And then I had that same year I moved to Chicago. Um, who would have? It's interesting you say that because I was still trying to figure out like I wanted to run track and I wanted to kind of be like I was thinking that it was going to be debate or theater. Like I was in that. I didn't know if I wanted to be an attorney. I didn't know if I wanted to be. It
right.
was attorney, psychology.
Was there
It was
somebody
I was a
that kind of gave you
That guided me.
that said that, you're a great orator or you do well in English and something that has to do with speaking?
So I feel like okay. So Dale Kelly.
Hmm.
Dale Kelly is a woman who was my psychology instructor in high school. She was my psychology teacher, but she was also our debate coach. I was on the debate team. And so when you do debate, you're arguing for and against or against a particular topic that they choose every week. And you're going to be the affirmative or you're going to be the negative and you're going to cross and you're going to do all of that. I think that sharpened the skills. Like I was always doing plays and stuff. Like anytime my mother just didn't get in the way. I would just say, "Hey, I want to do this or something." But when we were younger, I would do like theater and or the school musical or something, just
School
because
play, yeah, yeah,
school play,
yeah.
right, right. But I would always have some sort of. I wasn't necessarily just the tree. I would always have like an actual an actual word to say or something like that. Um, I think choir helped me with that. I was in choir for ever since the third grade. I've probably been in the school's choir. I was in Glee Club in college. So that teacher, Mrs. Prather, I was mentioning, Mrs. Prather. I think both of these two teachers are no longer with us, but Mrs. Prather always thought that I had a gift as far as vocally, but I didn't know how to, I wasn't training it or whatever. And then there were Miss Kelly who did like she liked She said, gift of gab, stuff like that. That was always the thing. People would always say you have the gift of gab, or you can. My mother would say I could talk my way out of a paper sack.
Yep. Yeah.
So in guiding that, I like who would I don't know. I can't really pinpoint a person that said, "Hey, let me push you into this," but I can say that wherever I started to lean, that's where I say my parents or my mom and stepfather or whomever, nobody got in the way and said, "You know what? No, you shouldn't do that. You should be a doctor, or you
They
should be."
allowed it.
Yeah,
They
it was
allowed the
more about
creativity.
it
Yeah.
was more going along with the current. Yeah,
Yeah. I like that. Do you
yeah.
remember you remember the first play or the first, you know,
That I did, or that I
that you
was that
did?
I
Yeah, that you did.
like back then. Wow. Or I used to draw. We were so creative then when we were kids, and I would love to harness that again. I used to draw, and I wrote poetry, and it was like submitted to the state. We had like a state book that would have like people from all over the different districts, and they would, we would want to be in that state book. I was a spelling bee champion. I was doing that type of thing. But that wasn't even your question. Your question
No. What
was,
do you mean? It was a state book that had just poetry, or it
so
had
this was
people who
like,
were
so like,
creative?
so like you would have in Omaha, and when I say state, maybe I meant a district book, but it was a book for like it would come out every year, and your elementary and junior high kids, you want to be in this book. Like, oh, this drawing from Reginald Barnes in grade 3, he made these stick figures that are so beautiful, or whatever. Like
Oh,
every year they would compile this book of like talented kids from across the district or across the state, I believe. And one year, like I had a piece of poetry that was in there, and one year I had like a drawing in the fourth grade or something like that. But it was that type of stuff that festered creativity,
I
right?
love that. I was
That
just about to say that. That has
Yeah,
to
yeah,
have, yeah.
that was sort of the thing. I would write poetry. Wow, you really got me. I was writing poetry. I was reading. Oh, and you're gathering a lot of knowledge. Back in the day, we were forced, not really forced to, but it was fun to read books.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there was a program called Book It. I don't know if that was around in school for you, but it was called Book It. And once you read a book, this is in the 80s, so or the 90s. I don't want to age myself, but this is in the 80s, and you would read it was a big popular program across America, but you would read a book and take that, and your mom would sign that off that you read this book or whatever, and you would take that back to school, and you got a free piece of pizza. I mean, you got a free personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut. It was
Wow.
encouraging people
Yeah,
to read, encouraging you to read, and as you read, you jumped into so many different worlds. And I think that is sort of the catalyst to leading me to say, God, I want to act, or I kind of want to, because I didn't really decide that I really wanted to pursue it until I got to college. Like I was always doing it,
hmm.
always sort of like performing and enjoying that, but didn't know that I was going to try to make that a career.
Do you feel like we're missing that right now with the kids today?
Yes. Well, they're
Mhm.
encouraging. Yes, we're definitely not
Yeah.
encouraging kids to read and do self research and doing all of that. I mean, the setup, the model, go to school and become a worker, and become, as opposed to go to school and develop your own business or your own insight or your own tangible ways of making money.
Hmm.
You know,
And once again,
um,
allowing creativity
allowing
to be, yeah,
creativity.
yeah, yeah.
And so I can never really just say it's one thing. I think that the positions that I was in, as far and just allowing, being open to the education in front of me, and then, like I say, that book it club, I would read books and I would be transported to Narnia or transported to wherever, and got to have my own little you would give people, it's incentives,
Right. Yeah.
incentives. And so the incentives were, hey, have this piece of pizza, and you can tell people at school, like, ha ha ha, I had one tonight, that type of thing.
Right.
But you're, making it fun for the kids to enjoy reading and enjoy history and stuff like that. And from what I see current day, even though I'm not raising a child, I would say that I don't see that same drive to educate the kid and make it fun. We're in a different time.
Right. Because what does reading do for you? Reading encourages the creativity. It allows you to visualize. You're reading a book, you get to visualize what this character looks like in your mind.
Right.
You know, when we watch so much media and TV and all this, it's already done for you.
It's
That
already
might not
done
be
for
my
you.
vision of what this is in this book. I think of it as something else. And then when you see it on TV, it's might not be what you envision.
Exactly.
So the reading allows the creativity.
Allows it to fester, allows you to put together a
Yeah.
world like here's the tools, or here's just a playbook, and then here you develop it the way you want. I learned in my interpersonal communications class in college, Dr. Deborah
Let's
Duncan,
go.
thank
Let's
you.
go. Give her a shout out.
No, I just, because I didn't finish. That was
saying.
the only class that I really, really loved in school, interpersonal communications, Deborah Duncan. And I believe she's with the ancestors now because she had something going on later. But she said, you can, no two people will ever think of one thing 100% the same. No two people.
True.
I'm talking to you now. You're listening to me in reverse. You're talking to me. I'm listening. But there's no way that I can think about it the way that you organically thought about it in your brain.
Absolutely.
And so learning that early, it's what you just said. It's about our interpretations.
Right.
Our interpretations. And we're now at a space where we're not even teaching kids to interpret.
Amen. Amen.
You know?
Amen.
So it's about it. And so that's the sort of the tie-in. So even as you sit here and you're asking me, you know, when I do interviews or do talks or whatever, and we talk, they jog your memory about what brought you to this spot, like what got you all the way here. And you really got me thinking just now about how the foundation, how you lay your own foundation to get where you are, and you have to always honor the journey.
Absolutely. It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's not just words when people say that. You really have to look back and understand that it is a journey. And you mentioned something before. You said you had an openness. Where does the openness come from? Where did that come from as a kid, as a Black kid growing up in Omaha?
In Omaha, Nebraska, right? Listen, we had one Black radio station, KBWH, Miracle. That was hey, but I love music. I'm a huge music guy. You remember back in our history, I think you've seen me host a couple of things too.
I have.
I used to MC music shows and stuff like that. That always played a crucial role too. But the openness was, again, this goes back to, and it's interesting because I can really reflect on this because my mother is no longer. Wow. It was being by yourself, being in my bedroom, listening to music, reading books, just allowing time for that creativity to fester. I'm being a child.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily worried about survival in this moment because I at one, my mother, she was a single mom, and she was raising me and my younger brother, and then she was dating my stepfather, and then they eventually got married when I was 8 or 9 years old, and they were married until I was 17. But in that, to have a household, this is the perspective I have now. So I really want to make sure I'm answering your question correct. Where did I get the openness from? Because I didn't have to worry about a lot of traumas that a lot of kids and a lot of other people are worrying about as they are growing up as a child. I was allowed to be a kid making my own choices moving forward. And again, this goes back to my mom and them never getting in my way. So when you say, how can you be open to receive all that? My antennas were up. They allowed the antennas to be up, and just, my grandmother will say to this day, my grandmother's still here. She's 90, my mom's mom. And she says, she would always say that growing up, I would always catch everything. She was like, she says, you don't miss nothing. And she goes, you've been like that since a kid. And people say that to me now, and I wasn't looking at it at the time. That I wasn't saying I'm being extremely open or I'm doing this. It was always sort of, but it was just literally going with the current, but not having any resistance, because the people that were guiding you, were cool with you being the water.
Right.
Does that make
exactly
sense?
it.
Like,
it makes a lot of sense.
If they see that, like, my mom knew when I was a kid, oh, he gonna be all right. Like this one here, and but she instilled. I look back and be like, wow, I was reading those third grade math books when I was in kindergarten and stuff like that. Like these are she was put. So she really was pushing towards that. She had a gift. She had a gifted black child. That's what they would say. We was
Yeah.
gifted,
Yep.
and even though we all are to a
Right.
degree, but the openness just really came from not having the resistance. I did
How's
not have the
how
resistance.
has
I was
that
allowed to just be free.
how has that helped you today? How has that helped you as an actor, as a person today?
As a both of both, I
Yeah.
think, and again going back to family, interesting question. How has that helped me today? Um, it's funny because my stepbrother, I'm one of five boys, two stepbrothers, three brothers. My mom had three kids, and I have two stepbrothers from the man she married. And one of my brothers says to me all the time, he says, Reggie, he says, and my friends, and like you say, you introduced me at the top of this as Reginald, and you met me as Reggie, but professionally I go Reginald. But my brothers and all, like, anyway, I'm setting all that up to say, he would say, Reggie, he said, you've always done what you wanted to do. And I don't look at it, I just look at plan A.
Hmm.
Plan A. Oh, why can't I do this? Or why can't this? But like if it's in your brain, it could be on the paper, it could be
Right.
whatever. So you said, what was your actual question? Damn,
How has
broke
that
up.
helped you today?
So the openness, the ability to see the bigger picture, to really be able to have the time to think of the macro instead of the micro, to be able to really think
Mm.
of what's going to be
Come
right,
on,
to
come on,
to
come
be
on, come
able to
on.
sit and think of the broader picture means you had time to be able to do that. Means that people were able to get out your way and let you become.
Right.
and
And
and so
process.
and price, brother.
Yeah.
So when the question becomes, what are you doing today? How is your youth, or how is that, how you've been shaped, how does that help you now? Man, there's i'm I'm confident in my direction now because it's gotten me this far. And it took me a long time to get confident with my direction, because we're so inundated with other people's directions and other people's journeys. Eventually, like when you really look at it and say, how did you allow yourself to get here and how did that help you? It allowed me to be present in my own life.
Yes.
And if you're and if you're present in your own life, and you know that, like I've never had a I've never had a credit card in my entire life.
Hmm.
I'm I am in my mid 40s, never owned a credit card because my belief, I applied for a Discover card when I was a freshman in college and they denied me. I was like, okay, I don't need to do this no more. Why am I signing up to ask for fake money that I got to pay back? It didn't make sense to me logically because my antennas were up.
Hmm.
So again, when you don't have the resistance and you're water and you're allowed to just flow, you can make your own sort of so that helped me now because I'm not in debt, or I'm not sitting up here paying, not saying, but I've never believed in that. Like I didn't understand people getting credit cards. So and because I've always not understood that since I was a kid, or I've always at least allowed myself to ask the question. And
That's right.
so those are the things that, because if we just go through life answering questions and not asking, we are then not really growing. So we can't look back and be like, that helped me to get to this. So like where I'm at now, so inevitably that all helped me get here because it allowed me to get confident with my mistakes, like make mistakes on my own, sort of look back and be able to that's how the growth, man, at this point, I'm like, wow, you got all the tools, and you had the tools, and you are allowed to let them come to to come up. I feel like I'm just starting.
That's right. I know that's right. And it goes back to
Yeah,
what we just mentioned. It's being open
yeah,
and
yeah.
being open and processing all that information and allowing yourself to make the mistakes, but you still have the self-confidence that you're making choices based on the information that you've processed.
Right, right.
Right.
We are only as old as our ability to process new information.
That's right. Absolutely
So,
right.
and so it's hard to process new information when all sorts of craziness is thrown at you all at once, all sorts of distractions. You were talking earlier about like kids today being taught how to read, or being encouraged on reading and stuff like that, and getting new information. But if the information you're getting all day is Trump and Israel and and cops beating us up and killing us and blah 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 blah, you don't even know that there's a whole world of history or anything to grow, like, because your life has become this,
Right.
a sponge.
Or trash TV and ratchet
Or
fights,
I was gonna
that
go
type of stuff. Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right. Which is why I'm not into reality. It's fun. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother. That's another thing. I've never been into reality like, I think that
Right.
takes away at work from us.
I think so too. I do too.
Or actual
I
work.
know. Yeah, I know. I mean, even just as a podcaster, somebody doing a show, I could easily go down the avenue of talking about, pop culture and all these other
Yeah.
things, which is cool. I don't, I look at it every now and then. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to give people life journeys and inspiration and stories that help you, like
Right.
my purpose is doing that. I'm a documentarian of other people's lives. That's the platform that I'm dealing on.
Yes.
So
Come on, Griot.
hopefully, you
Come
know what
on,
I'm saying?
Griot.
So we can look back on these, snippets of people's lives and say, okay, this person said this, maybe I'll try this, and be open to
Right.
that kind of information. So
Right. Right.
that's what
Right.
I'm
Right.
trying to
Right.
do. Or maybe I can take the pop culture and extract what they're doing and use it in a positive way. I mean, I can do that,
Right.
but
And you're doing an amazing job of it. You're doing an
I
amazing job.
appreciate
You've
it.
been doing this for a while. And I've seen, like I say, and you ask questions that matter.
That's what I try to do. So look, back to you.
Yeah.
Done
We can give
incredible
Marcos
work.
his applause. Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've done some incredible work. You've worked on some, huge movies. You've worked on small independent projects. I'm going to go down a couple things here. Wu-Tang, An American Saga, West Side Story, Chintu Ka Birthday.
Yes.
What was it? FBI,
Most Wanted.
Law and Order. Yep. FBI, Law and
FBI
Order.
Most Wanted. No, FBI Most Wanted. Well, I did work on Law and Order too, but FBI Most Wanted. Law and Order was just some like featured background work in a scene with Ice-T, and he allowed me to kind of. And his birthday is the same as my mother's. That was interesting. But I was a guest star on FBI Most Wanted at once.
I
Yeah,
like that.
thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the question is some of these people, you've come in contact with some really great people. Who is someone or some people that have sort of influenced you or given you the inspiration?
That I worked with, or just in
Or that
general?
even that you met along the way. Because I know I've seen,
Okay. So you mentioned West Side Story. Just the first person I thought of was Spielberg, because and not that I watched his movies as a kid, and we would see God, I remember a field trip going to see Schindler's List and all this other list, and Color Purple. He directed Color Purple, like that's
yeah,
classic, and all that. So I've always kind of looked up to him. So for that, I played a detective in West Side Story. It was wild because I was so mad my lines got cut and everything, but whatever. Being in that moment, check cleared. But
that's
being in
right.
that,
I know that's right.
and the checks after, but being in that moment and being able to, there was a moment of sitting. This is the moment where I said, Reginald, you have created this journey and look at where it's got, and like, wow, it was just a really wow moment. There's a whole process. Booking that was crazy because I was in Canada when I got the email that I was supposed to audition. And at this time we were doing real auditions, like we were actually going to the space,
Physical,
right? This
right?
is
Yeah.
2018 or 2019, and I'm in Toronto, supposed to be flying back to New York, and I get the audition. They say they want you to audition for West Side Story. I was like, what? I said, okay. I said, oh, you need to send in you need to come in. I said, all right. My flight gets delayed. I miss my audition.
Oh
I get back to
no.
New York, and audition is gone. So my agent calls and says, well, they still want to see you somehow. I said, what? Still? And I'm thinking to myself, I done messed this up. Like, it's just 3 or 4 lines. They'll find somebody. I've really this all. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you the long way, but it's gonna answer your question. I said, okay, fine. I'll get home, and they said they wanted in by tomorrow at 10 a.m. I get home with Matt, and I'm home. I'm tired. We've been traveling. Everything's been crazy. 8 o'clock in the morning comes in the morning, and I get a call from my manager talking about where's the tape, and I was like, oh my god! So I'm doing everything I can to not get this role, and I eventually get up, have my partner at the time, husband now, sit and tape me on his video camera. We weren't taping it on the phones. He had a little small video camera. We shot it, whatever. The battery dies. It needs to be I need to charge this thing for like 2 hours. Then we send it in. We get it in about noon. I hear about it a week later. They put you on hold. A week after that, you got the role. Like I was like, what?
Wow.
Like, I end up getting the role. So after all these, missing the flight, even getting the information and getting it in late, the thing dies on me. Everything. Role ends up being mine anyway. I end up getting to work with. I'm like, oh wow, Steven Spielberg. Where are they shooting? They end up. I got to wake up, and this is the blessings of really doing your work and being present. I live in Flatbush, and I was able to walk to my call time, to my morning. Like I would wake up at 5 in the morning, and call time would be 6. I would wake up, shower, and walk down to Flatbush and Lefferts. Yes, walk down to my trailer that's sitting on Lefferts Boulevard. I'm sharing a trailer with this other guy. We're splitting the trailer, but like to walk every morning.
To walk every morning.
They had bought me out for a week at first.
To walk and to have a trailer. That's two things.
Right.
Because you're part of first team.
Yeah. But this ain't.
That's first team.
First team. Well, to share a honey wagon. Let me be. For the people out there that don't, it's still a trailer.
Right.
But the honey wagon it's a different version of the trailer. Like it ain't like my own private Idaho.
That's okay.
I have my own trailer in Wu-Tang.
Okay.
But for West Side Story, I split it with this other cat. We were both detectives, but I had my own little cubicle. But still, major, and that's okay,
right? That is major.
Right. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, I wasn't even supposed to get this role. Now I'm sitting up in here, and it's supposed to be for you. What's for you is for you.
Absolutely.
I literally walk to set every morning. They took a church here in Brooklyn, transformed it to the police precinct. So now I'm not only not supposed to be here, I'm here, and I'm walking to work every morning, and I'm really and it's beautiful. I get to it's time to actually shoot. I meet Steven, but then it's time to actually shoot. I'm sitting in they had 3 police offices. Like it was my detective office or lieutenant or whatever. It's my office, and I got one of the perps sitting with me. And the AD comes over, the assistant director comes over and brings in, this is to introduce Steven Spielberg to me. And I see him walking towards me with his Converse tennis shoes on and a cigar. And he walks around with a cigar. And I'm like, my heart is palpitating because I'm like, this is Spielberg about to come
Spielberg.
over here. And I was like, so he walks in, bro. He walks in, and mind you, me and Miles, Miles Jarrett, the guy that was in the scene, or Miles, I hope that's Miles' last name. Miles is from Canada. I can't. Miles Ehrlich. We're going over our scene, and Spielberg comes in. Hey, how are you? He was like, you. He goes, I'm Steven. I said, I know. And he goes. He said, you must be Reginald. He goes, I heard. I was like, you know
wow.
my name, like that type of interaction, right? So he says. I said, I'm Reginald, or you can call me Reggie. You can call me, like, I'm saying all this, but he comes in positive, engaging, allow yourself to be yourself. Don't trip. You know what I mean? Like, so he comes in, he's like, yeah, you must be Reginald. I heard about you. I was like, oh, thank you. And I said, and I'm trying not to fan out, right? Like, I'm just like, wow, this is Spielberg. So he goes, all right, look, we're going to have fun today. We just want to have fun. And even the people in the trailer, everybody, it was a great experience outside of the fact that my lines got cut later. But he says to me, so have you guys gone over anything? And he said, give me what you got. And I kind of go over our scene. And he goes, okay, well, I want you to just grab his arm while you're looking, because I'm looking, because it's a shark or a jet or it's a shark who's had like heroin. They're catching him for doing heroin. So I'm the cop and I'm interrogating him. And he's just, all Spielberg said, stretch his arm out while you talk to him so we can, okay, fine. We run. He says, I'll be back in a minute and we'll shoot. He goes, we're going to have fun today. I said, okay. Wow. I was like, Spielberg just gave me direction. I was like, oh shit. So I was like, this is crazy. So he comes back in. Eventually it's time to shoot. And the camera guy, Paul, I forgot his name too, but he's amazing. He comes in. I personally, when I'm on a set, I want to get my shit in 3 takes or less, anytime, wherever. And that's just always been my own standard that I created and said and again, I was allowed to create my own standard. If you just keep it here, you can create the life. So I always just said, I want to make sure that it looks like for a person to then come back and say to me, Reggie, you're one of my favorite actors. Like earlier, these are the standards that you instill, absolutely, so that you can, So I want to do it in 3, but that was always my thing. But I sat there, we took it the first time, and I had to have this New York, 1958, this sort of New York accent. That wasn't it. I don't know what I was giving you just now, but
that was it.
It was in there, and I took it the first time and I was a little off, and I kind of just said, I didn't say verbatim so Steven comes and says, that was good. Script supervisor comes up and says, Mr. Barnes, the words are, da, 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 da. She goes, can you get it verbatim? Okay. We do a second take. I do it exactly verbatim. And then Steven says, we'll do one more take just to make it clean. Third take, we get it. He comes in, he goes, good work. Really good job. I was like, I'm like, Steven Spielberg.
Wow.
The OG of the OGs has said good job. Even if it was bullshit, he said it to me. And so that's the long answer to, again, giving you, it's the long answer to really affirming you're supposed to be where you're supposed to be. Amen. And your talents are going to lead you there. And your drive is going to lead you there. And then there are no mistakes.
Right.
And so, like, I literally
be ready.
You have to be ready. And so I was mad later. Oh, wait, let me finish that. We shoot that. Remember I told you earlier, he says, we're going to have fun. We shot that. We're done with the scene. He goes and shoots the other cops in their cubicles. It's time to break for lunch. We're going to break for lunch. And somehow I'm in a hallway. Steven's security is in front of him. He's behind him. I'm directly behind Steven. So I tap him on the back. Now, nobody touches Steve. So I tapped him on the back and he turns around, he jumps, and I go, you said we're going to have fun, right? We're having fun. And he looks at me and he kind of smiles, and then we keep it moving. But it's those type of interactions. Yeah, exactly. Those type of, like, you want to make sure that the next time they see your face, they remember you. Now, even though later on, when the movie got released in 2021, we shot in 19 and it didn't get released in 2021 because of the pandemic, because Spielberg wanted it to come out in the theaters. It was going to come out Christmas of 2020. We were in a lockdown. So they pushed it to 2021 because they wanted it to be an old school theater feel. Gotcha. Like people going to the movies, West Side Story, big time musical classic. I'm excited because I'm like, this is going to blow me up. This is, I only got 3 lines, but it's Disney. And anyway, and then I get the call the day before. My brother Paris Creighton calls me and goes, I'm at this screening in LA and Spielberg is here, but your lines, I saw your head. Man. I was like, what? It's the ups and downs of this business. Right. I was prepared. I was ready. I was in it. All I can do is what I can do.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. Show up. Be ready.
Show up. Be ready. If I ever run into Steven Spielberg, I'm going to say, why did y'all cut my scene? But then I'm also going to say, I'm going to let him see if he remembers me. But I know.
You're going to say, we're going to have fun, aren't we? And then he'll remember you right away.
He's going to remember.
He'll remember you. Absolutely. A lot of people think this business is so glamorous and so good. What are the downsides? What's the downside of this?
Shooting sex scenes. Shooting sex scenes are not as glamorous. One of the first indie films that I ever made is called Inhibitions. You probably can't find it anywhere. It's on DVD somewhere. You used to be able to. It was being distributed by a company called IndieFlix.com. back in the day, INDIEFLIX. And this is before Netflix, before any of that. I shot this movie in 2002 or 2003. Because this is this answer is so easy. You said the downsides. You think it's glamorous. You think we would look at these scenes of anything and think, oh, it's so fun to shoot anything. This is a sex scene. I did a movie called Inhibitions where I played this. It was, I had a girlfriend who I was withholding. I wanted to be a gentleman to my girlfriend in this film. My character wanted to be a gentleman and said that he wouldn't have sex with her for the first 6 months of their relationship. She was her friends were like, girl, he must be gay. He don't want you. He's not messing with you. And she's trying to tell them, no, he just really says he wants to just hold me and caress me. This is all part of the film. But my character also had another young lady who was trying to get with me, and I would play gay around her to throw her off. So the crux is one day my girl sees me reacting to the other girl, sees and thinks, oh, maybe he is gay. But I was not. I mean, in the movie.
Right.
and so in the ultimate scene, as the credits roll, by the end of the movie, I end up finally having sex with my fiance or girlfriend or whatever. And the credits are rolling. Now, you would think that, ooh, that's hot. They finally get it was a brash little quick, was it maybe the movie might have been an hour and 20 minutes long or whatever. And it wasn't Oscar work. It was shitty, right?
Right.
But towards the end, you get to this scene and everybody be like, oh, you got to do a sex scene. Oh my God, you hot lights, sweat. It stank in there like it was indie. So we're in a hotel. I'm with this. I cannot remember her name. I'm bad with names now, but this is maybe 2000. This is 21 years ago. And this young girl drove down from San Antonio, Texas. I was living in Houston at the time. Leon Greer, who was the writer director, he said he dropped me and her off at a hotel room and said, y'all need to get together and practice. So for our shoot tomorrow, like he said, you guys need to develop chemistry. Just kind of like left us there. It was awkward. And again, whereas everybody else sees the finished product and the scene, and it's like, oh, that's fly. Reggie got, now it's sex all over the place. Before, a sex scene was crafted, you had to sort of pull that together. You don't know what goes into that. So we sat around and we kind of got to know each other a little bit. And then Leon came back a couple of hours later and you're setting up lights. We're in a small room with hot ass lights. I'm in Texas. It's the summer. I am sweating profusely. I've got nothing on, right? In this,
right.
She's got on sheaths that cover her nipples and a sheath that covers her vagina. So, because she can't, nipple costs more money, you guys in the world. If they show your nipple, you can negotiate. Hey, nipples and penises and stuff like that, you can get more money if you show all that. So, anyway, she and I, we rehearsed some things, but then Leon would come in and be like, okay, I need, it was weird because I felt like it was porn and it wasn't supposed to be, but it was, you have to shift for the camera. It was so unnatural to provide what you think is a natural act.
Yeah.
So to come back to what the public eye sees, and says, oh, wow, that is glamorous. You get to be an actor. You get to sit up there and you get to kiss women or whoever. And it was the shittiest day of trying to make that scene. I wouldn't go through that. It was so hot in that room. Like, these are the things that people don't think about or know. And again, a long way of telling the story, but you need the context to understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's one. That's one thing. There's a lot of different things that play for what you eventually get to see, or it used to be that.
Right.
It used to be that we would create. Now people are just throwing up cameras in their living rooms, and there's nothing wrong with creating, but show me something I haven't seen.
Right. Yeah.
Tell a story differently,
Absolutely. So. That's the creative side of it all.
Yes.
Looking back on your illustrious career, because you've done a lot, and that's, and I don't say that jokingly. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much time we put into, actually getting to the point that we are now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? And then also, what do you think about the future of where you're going as an actor or as an entertainer or performer?
What do I think? I would like to tap back into my singing to a little bit, and I hadn't been doing that because I wanted to really. So I've always used to avoid Broadway because I didn't want to. I'm being honest. So whoever sees this, uh, I didn't think I would put in the time to keep my voice together. As far as like singing, there's a lot that comes into singing 5, 6 days a week,
Yeah. Yeah.
twice a day or stuff like that, and keeping those vocal cords. I know about that as a person that used to sing in school, and I just kind of let me just focus on the acting. I like the acting, the craft. I love looking at a script, and like we said earlier, being open to create a character and develop that and say this is what it looks like in my mind. Hopefully, I can transfer that to the audience. Um, I like it all: theater, film, TV, all of it. Film was always where I wanted to go when I decided to do it, but theater was my background. Theater, I was a theater minor. That was my. So when your question is how looking at the career, it was built on theater. Theater was the core of where I wanted to do. But when you say something like look at your career now, kind of look, I feel like I'm still I keep always feeling like I'm still at the beginning because I feel like I haven't had that big break, but in reality, I've had a few different big breaks, a few different, and again, it comes to conversations like these. You can where you can really sit back and be like, oh, you've done some things, and not everybody has done those things. And it's hard to it's weird to look back and say there was a time when I wasn't even auditioning. It was or couldn't get auditions and couldn't even know that I had to
That's
audition to
right.
be in a role. And
That's
it's
right.
just the build up. Like I remember creating an IMDb when I was like in 2009. I didn't have a manager. I was no 2003 or four in Houston. It was new. IMDb itself was new, but I said, well, let me control the narrative. I always just felt like I didn't need a manager. I didn't know that you needed representation.
Mm-hmm.
I got one, but
Right.
all of those things, I wanted to kind of do it my way. But doing it my way and not really going with the grain of Hollywood or Broadway or whatever the case may be. Kind of, I like doing eccentric pieces or pieces that are like make you think, and there's no specific genre to put me in. I kind of always like that. I consider
Yeah.
myself an everyman, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's allowed me to, man, take on some of the most beautiful projects. Brother, I was able to do what I love. You to get paid to do what you love is a journey in itself and it's a blessing. To get paid for someone to fly me to Mumbai, India to do a film, that was the I look at that and I'm looking at when I look at like and this is no I look at contemporaries or people that we see on TV, they might not have shot an international film. They might
Right.
not have done, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
Of
really have to
course.
sit back and be like, wow, there is some illustrious in that
Yeah, there
career, in that.
is. There is.
And to
I did the
me, it just
homework,
feels like
Reginald. I did the homework.
to me, it just feels like I'm just moving along, but
No,
I'm not even. You plant the seeds as you go, and
absolutely.
then you don't realize when the trees have grown up that people are looking, they're getting fruit from your
Yeah.
tree.
Because now you're the inspiration for other people.
It's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
It's
It's
bro.
crazy.
I have I after I did Chintu Ka Birthday, we shot that in 17 or 18 in Mumbai, India. And it was just it was such a brilliant script. It was about it's about an Indian family. I hope you get a chance to see it, to watch it. It's something that now I really want to. It was released on ZTV, Z5. That's an Indian station or whatever, but they had
Mhm.
no contracts with the United States. So it was released in 2020, but the United States had no way of accessing it. Now you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on C. But we're trying. I am about to try to maybe possibly try to bring this thing to Netflix. But it's an 83-minute film that was about an Indian family stuck in Iraq during the Iraq War. Myself and another brother, this guy, not brother, white guy, but they wanted a black and a white soldier to play these roles. And in India, normally they wouldn't necessarily fly in a
I was
white
going to
guy
say,
or fly in a
beautiful.
black guy. They
I love that.
they would just try to get somebody from India who could try to portray them. Maybe a dark no, but they wanted to be authentic. And it was two brothers that wrote this. But anyway, myself and another guy, we played two U.S. soldiers that thought. Shout out to Nate Scholes, my brother. He just got married. We played two U.S. soldiers that thought that there was some Iraqi intel in this Indian family's home, and all they wanted to do was celebrate the birthday of their son Chintu. It's such a beautiful film, bro. It's beautiful and it's different and it's told in a different way. I recommend anybody Google that Chintu Chintu Ka Birthday.
We'll have the trailer of it on this podcast too.
Okay.
For everybody too.
Okay. Cool. It'll be right here.
It sure will.
but I that changed my life. That being able to go to it, like I was there for a month and a half on the other side of the world, scared and alone. Like I took my husband for a week, and he came with me that first week because I'd never been on a flight that long. I was like 16 hours. This is crazy. We went through Dubai and then went to Mumbai. Changed my life. The Indian people that I met, beautiful. The Bangladeshi people, the Nepalese people, beautiful. And I have a kindred spirit with them now that I'll share for the rest of my life. And but that even the filmmaking process, I wasn't even protected by a union. This is not SAG. I negotiated my own contract for them.
Love it. I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so like it allowed me to get experiences that we don't. I've always kept agency with myself. And even if I do have a management team, I mean, I'm signed to a management. Well, I was. I think that is whatever. And I have an agent, but no shade to them or whatever. You still got to get out there and do the work. You still got to get out there and market yourself. And I think that my thing has always, again, going back to your older question about what stuff from when I was younger brought it to now. I always, since I was a kid, have marketed myself. It's always been Reginald. And so it all comes back to sharpening your own individuality so that you can be the motherfucker in the room that is better at being you than anybody else.
Absolutely. And you just said it. I mean, even with management or talent agency or whatever it is, they're getting 15%, which means they do 15% of the work. You have to do the other 80 or 85% of the work.
Now they'll say it differently and say that they did 80-something% to get you in that room. Right. And
we know it's not true.
Chintu Ka Birthday, I booked on my own.
That's what I'm saying.
I found that on Actors Access in 2011. And again, for anybody watching this, the process. 2011 is when I sent my headshots in. I don't have an agent. I don't have a manager. I'm finding things online. I get the, it took 4 months of we were Skyping. These two guys had never talked to American. They had never Skyped. They didn't even know that was an option. I said, can I just talk to you guys after the third call back or something?
Look at that.
I said, Let's talk. I called them on a Skype call. We talked for 2.5 hours, and a week later I get the role. And then we don't even shoot for 5 more years because of monsoons, because of producers leaving, things that you don't even think about. And we don't shoot until 2017. And then the movie doesn't even come out until 2020. It's so many. Yeah. And by the time we were supposed to shoot the movie, that's when I'm with SAG but now. So technically I wasn't supposed to, but I went anyway because I have agency over what I do.
Right.
and yeah, so we know it well. In the canon of things, those are the things like when you say career and I look, that was a moment that I can look back on and be like, wow, you did that and you went out there. And I always said I wanted to go international and I did it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then so for 7 years we didn't even think, or for years we didn't even know if that film was going to get made.
Right. And then when it does get made, you don't know how it's going to come out. You have no control over any of that stuff. You don't know what it's going to be.
Beautiful.
Right.
You don't know any of that.
Nothing.
I went to I didn't see that film until it came out in 2020, but it was in a film festival, a small Indian film festival in Boston. And we won Best Picture, and we won Best Editing, and we won Best Villain.
Congratulations.
That's a big thing out there. Yeah, thank you.
Love it.
Wait. The Kaleidoscope
there we go.
Festival.
Boom.
Best
There you
feature
go.
film,
Hold it down
Indian
just a
Arts,
little bit.
Boston. Wait.
I love that. Love it. Love it.
So,
Hold it again so we can get a full view. Just a
so
little bit up.
2019,
A little bit up.
2019.
There you go. Love it. Okay.
So like little stuff like that, but I cried watching myself actualize my dream. I sat there in Boston with 10 of my friends in a random theater outside, maybe 20 miles outside of Boston, that they had this small theater. That was my first time getting to see the film. And then I realized, I said, this is going to be major. When it finally gets released, we had to get picked up. We were in this festival and we won. And I was just sitting there looking at myself on the big screen,
right,
saying, you're just a little boy from Omaha, Nebraska.
That's right.
And how did you, and then having agency over how you presented this character that's going to go to the world. You're the only Black person in this international film of Indian and that's going to be in Hindi, Arabic, and English. You have to, again, going back to looking at the macro, looking at what's the legacy or the vision that you're going to leave for the people around you to take with them.
That's right. Damn. Bring it on home.
Bring it on home. And so when it comes to choosing to act or choosing to perform or choosing to sing or whatever, you got to leave somebody with an emotion. You got to leave somebody with something. We don't do this to get up
with
here
some
just
value.
For fucking value.
Yeah, that's
edifying work.
That's
edifying work. And that's sort of where the shift. When I was a kid, I just wanted to be famous. When I was an adult, I said, I just want to be able to leave you with something.
That's right. What is your purpose?
What is your purpose? Yeah, man.
We all want to be famous, but at the end of the day, once you get the fame, what is it?
What is it?
We need the purpose.
And then you're right, because the fame is redefined all the time, and it's at the whim of other people. The purpose is within yourself. So, right. and that's the journey.
That's the journey.
And you only got one mic.
Amen. Amen. Just one mic. What's coming up for Reginald in the future? That's what we need to know.
What's our time? Oh, no. Look, Jesus. Hopefully. So.
You don't have to tell us details. Just what do you?
Well. Currently, I am the face of. Hopefully, there's going to be a project based around the life of Lewis Latimer, the inventor, who worked with Thomas Edison. So, Black man from Massachusetts, Boston, and New York and Massachusetts. But anyway, currently there's a group of people. I don't know if anybody here is familiar with the Edison Awards. The Edison Awards is like a Grammy Awards for tech. Mm-hmm. And so with that, they have what would be like one of the guys that's on the board, a brother by the name of John Cropper. He's an amazing brother, and he has developed sort of like a MacArthur grant for Black tech innovators called the Lewis Latimer Foundation, the Lewis Latimer Fellowship. In the intro video is me portraying Lewis Latimer. I am the face of this fellowship, and to get people in, and they get maybe 100 submissions a year, and they pick 6, and they're in the process of doing that now. So in April, I go down to Fort Myers, Florida, for the Edison Awards. I'll be there this year, actually in person, but they've been using my face for the last 2 or 3 years to recruit individuals.
Amen.
And what's so dope about that is Latimer was around at a time where there's no audio of him anywhere. There's pictures of him. So the only person that's been able to create him is me, and we're going to see if we can develop that. So maybe a biopic or a documentary on Lewis Latimer. And then I'm also going to be doing a brand new, I guess I can kind of talk about it, a brand new...
Just give us a little bit. You don't have to tell us everything.
Okay, I'm working on a new, let's just say a new media project with DC Comics, the Batman franchise.
Okay,
not even new media. It's like a live theater, retail theater space. It's a different space that nobody's ever seen. Okay. Those type of things. And I'm working on a pilot about I shot a pilot last year about the mixtape game.
Okay.
So little stuff
here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. There's not like, I can't say see you at 7, on ABC or anything like that. There's nothing, I'm auditioning like everybody else.
That's all right.
And I just did a show called Mecca Is Burning. We were nominated for an AUDELCO in Harlem at the Harlem School of the Arts. We didn't win, but it's okay. But that was last year. Over the last year, went to South Carolina and did a world premiere play called Mitchelville and Hilton Head at the Negro Ensemble Theater. This is all within the last 12 months. So just trying to keep the tools sharp. Right now, if you guys wanted to just check me out and just sort of see me at work, we shot there's a play festival called The Fire this time that was picked up by PBS and was posted on the All Arts TV program. You can catch that at allarts.com. Either that or it's allarts.tv. And it's 10-minute snippets from the Fire This Time Festival on stage, where you can catch and I'm in 3 of them, and you can catch me and all the other stars.
What?
Catch Fire. Me and all the other stars doing our thing for the Fire This Time Festival on All Arts TV. I think that would be a great thing for you guys to start at.
There you go.
And be prepared for the next thing.
That's right. Stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
Stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
Word. Listen, man, how can we get in touch with you? It's been such a pleasure.
Man, it has been a pleasure. Get smoke signals, but no, I'm just kidding. So smoke
pigeon.
Signals and
send
telephone.
a pigeon my way.
Send a pigeon, yes. So you can find me when I do on the social medias and the things. You can at Reginald L Barnes on Twitter, aka X, or at Reggie on the Move on Instagram. I don't have that's at Reggie on the Move, all one word. And that you can that's sort of been my brand for a long time. And because I'm always on the move just means I'm always doing something, bro.
That's right. And that's right. And we heard it all here today. I could talk to you forever. We're not even finished yet.
Yo, you only got a couple of stories.
That's right. I'm sure of that. Everybody, please make sure you follow him at Reggie on the Move at IG. Hit him up on Twitter. I think he's also on Facebook at Reginald.L.Barnes. Check him out there. Just check him out.
Check me out.
It's been a pleasure, man.
I'm free and available to work.
There you go. Anybody looking for a powerhouse actor, please hit him up. TV, stage, film. He's the guy.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for joining me. Please come back. Please.
Will do.
Share your story. I have so many questions. I still have questions. So you're definitely coming back.
I feel like I gave extremely long answers, but we'll come back for a part 2.
There you go. See that? The show is called OneMicNite. Please follow us on all social media, OneMicNite. You can always slide into my DMs. You already know, on Instagram at Marcos Luis, MarcosLuis. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.